Hi everyone, welcome to our Campus Resources video episode 3, the Center for Health Advocacy and Wellness. Today we're so happy that we have the Rose Rezaei, the director from the Center for Health Advocacy and Wellness, also known as CHAW, here to help us to learn more about this department at FSU. Hi Rose, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know that CHAO is a very important department under the Division of Student Affairs, and it supports and helps our students at FSU, especially at this very special time. So it will be very nice for you to briefly introduce and tell us more about your program. Do you mind to briefly introduce the program first and yourself?
Yeah, no problem. So, like you mentioned earlier, I'm Rose Rezaei. I use she and her pronouns. I've been with Florida State since 2014, and CHAW has actually been around for several years at FSU. It has several different names over its history, but essentially, currently it's the Center for Health Advocacy and Wellness, and it's embedded within University Health Services. So, we're a sub department within University Health Services. And our main goal is to really just provide students with space and education to make healthy decisions that lead to lifelong learning. So we really believe that every student has a health and wellness journey, right? So they're coming into the university already having been a part of their journey. And so we kind of want to meet them where they're at and help provide education or skills or workshops or spaces just to continue to learn or unlearn some things that they might have come in with related to health and wellness. And then the ultimate goal, right, is that everybody is thriving. So how can we create education that leads to that?
Exactly. I feel like, especially for students right now, the wellness is such an important part. Like, no matter physical and mental health, is just so important for us at this special time. But I do have some basic questions like, is it open for all FSU students? Does that include like both domestic and international students?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. So, being a part of University Health Services, right, we're open to every FSU student, every current student. I think one of the nice things about our current environment is that we're accessible through telehealth, which is a lot, easier to access us through Zoom or through virtual than before when you had to physically, right, be on campus or in the space. And so, it's open to any student. We see all kinds of students and class years, experiences, backgrounds. And that's the one thing I really love about working in CHAW and in health services is that there really is something for everybody in our
Mm.
area.
So is it like free to access, or does a student have to have the insurance to access child and something?
That's a really great question. So, University Health Services, right, which is the larger umbrella, there are some, fee associated services that they provide that require health insurance. The great thing about CHAW is because we're providing health education, all of our direct services are free. So, it's included in you just being a student. And so, for example, some of our direct services include rapid HIV testing. So, that's a 15-minute finger prick test that we do. And we provide that free for students. We
Oh.
also do wellness coaching, and that's kind of a one-on-one conversation with students to learn like what are your health and wellness goals. We really want to focus on holistic health, so emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, occupational, right, all those dimensions that are really important. And they're there to help you just be a coach, right, to help identify, all right, what are your goals, how can you get connected to campus services, how can you make measurable goals, attainable goals. And then
Yeah.
they're there as accountability partners, right, to help you through that. And then we also do a program called Smart Choices, and that's a program for students that want to have more education around maybe potential alcohol or marijuana use. A lot of times, our students are coming into that program as an outcome from a sanction, but students can take it electively for free. So we've had students who just wanted to know more about, again, alcohol or drug use, or they were concerned, about their own usage. And so we're able to sit down with them and have a really like open and honest conversation about where they're at, how that really may be impacting their life, and then where we can get them connected to resources. So those are our three main right now direct services for our students, and they're
Mm.
all free.
Oh, well,
Mhm.
that's a very important information, especially for international students, since as an international student myself, sometimes I know that some of my peers, they don't have access to the university insurance.
Mhm.
So that is very, very important for us to understand that it is actually so accessible for us for
Mhm.
free. And also, since we're under this question, I just want to know that is students' identity protected by CHAO if they use any of the services and programs you mentioned?
Yeah, so since we're under the health services is HIPAA compliant, and HIPAA is a federal kind of policy or standard that protects health information. So since we're underneath that, we also comply with HIPAA. So we do our best to ensure, student data is secure. We use secure systems. We try to collect, minimal data also if we're doing like health education and those kind of things. That's a really important part of the work that we do in the health field, is to make sure that folks' identity is protected and that you're only sharing information that you've been given permission to share. So sometimes if we're working with a student who's seeing a wellness coach and they want to see somebody at the counseling center, the student has the ability to do this thing called a two-way agreement. So the student could say like, yes, I want my CHAW coach to be able to talk to my counselor and vice versa, but that's student initiated. So I think that's something really important too for students to know, is that your information is protected. You have kind of power over how you want to share your information,
Yeah,
especially if you want like coordinated care. So sometimes you don't want to have to tell your story over and over again, and
yeah,
that's why those things are really put in place for that.
yeah. And like, I really like the example that you gave. That is really helped me to understand how is this like empowerment process look like, and how I am the one that can initiate to give my like permission for all of my information. So that's a very good example. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
And so if I contact a child, let's say as an international student, for certain programs, like how can we stay connected after engaging in this program?
Yeah, there are a lot of ways. So I think if you wanted to just stay kind of up to date on what types of programming or health education that we're doing, our social media is going to be your best bet. So
Mhm.
we're at FSU CHAW. So we're at Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, pretty much anywhere that folks are. So I think that's a great kind of initial step. If you're looking for a specific direct service, we have a number on our website, which is the main health center phone number you can call, and that's to get connected to HIV testing and wellness coaching. And that number is 850-644-4567.
Mhm.
So it's a really easy one to remember. And I encourage students to always put that one in your phone or bookmark the health center page. They try to make it as easy as possible to get connected. And then if there's just general questions that folks have, we have a standard email, and
Mhm.
that's chaw@fsu.edu. That's
Mhm.
not meant to have specific medical related questions. It's really just meant to say like, hey, I want to get more involved, or I want to know what are some good resources for nutrition, or maybe my organization wants to request a presentation. So that's usually the best way, I think, if you're not sure where to start, is to send that initial email. And we check that every day, and we definitely follow up with students that way.
Yeah, I like how you break out like each session. Let's say, okay, for the contact info, like you can start with the social media because that is more easier way.
Hmm.
If you want some very formal information, we can use the website or email address. That's very helpful. But since we are talking about the services and programs at CHOW, and also we're during the pandemic, is every program like a similar, like all in virtual, or is there some certain programs that we need to be aware of that they are in person?
Yeah, we really had to pivot like a lot of departments in thinking about how can we continue to provide the essence of our services, but
Yes.
also always taking into account, right, our students' health and safety and our staff's health and safety for that matter. So for example, we have a pretty wide scope of educational topics we work with. So we work with alcohol and other drug education, interpersonal violence. So that's sexual assault, relationship violence, and stalking. We do healthy relationship education, bystander intervention, Green Dot. That's one of our really large programs here at FSU.
Mhm.
We do nutrition and body image. And then we do general wellness, which is kind of that larger category for everything related to like stress, sleep, time management. So
Mhm.
we've been able to, like I said, shift most of our presentations online. That's been a great piece for us. So we still get presentations requests from organizations or departments or classes to come in. And so that's been really great. So no really disruption there. Our
Mhm.
direct services, HIV testing is in person. That one's a little hard to do virtually. So we do offer that one day a week. And if that day doesn't work for students, we work with them to provide a lot of different options, either through the health center or in the community, since some people want quicker turnaround for a test. Wellness coaching will stay virtual for a while. We find that that's a really great service for students to do one-on-one. And all that is secure and through the health center's protocols and process for how to do telehealth. We
Mhm.
haven't really done any in-person programming yet. I think
Okay.
we're trying to think about how to do that in a way that ensures safety. And I think we like that virtual programming does provide greater access for folks.
Mhm.
But I do think in the future we may have some in-person programming. That's why following our social media is really great, because we'll
Yeah.
let folks know, yeah, like, hey, we're going to be tabling here, or we have an upcoming green dot training that's limited, but it's in person. So I think always staying up to date with our social media is usually the quickest way and the easiest way to kind of find out what's going on.
That is very true since we're attached to our phone every single
Hmm.
every single minute. Yeah, exactly. But since you were talking about the UHS a lot, and since we're attached to the UHS, it's sometimes probably a little bit confusing for me.
Hmm.
Like what is the difference from you and the UHS, and also sometimes University Counseling Center?
Yeah, all the acronyms, right? It's all these different centers, and they all sometimes have similar names, but have very distinct kind of purposes. So the health center as a whole is going to focus on anything related to the medical aspect of your health. So testing, if you're sick and you go to the doctor, or if there's anything required for medication, right? That's really your main, like, primary health is a way to think about it when you would go to see a doctor for any general kind of health concerns.
Mm.
CHAW is strictly health education. So we provide general education on several health and wellness topics. We do some specific health services, but we don't provide medical care. And so that's a pretty distinct difference there. We're not clinicians, we're not medically licensed. So we're there to kind of be a support system in your health and wellness journey. So maybe you're coming in medically for something, and then you also want to know about, okay, well, what are some of the more holistic ways that I can also take care of my stress or time management and those kind of things?
Okay.
Counseling center is a separate building altogether and a separate department from the health services. They're excellent. They provide, your traditional kind of mental health care for all of our students. They do direct therapy, they do group therapy, they do outreach and presentations, and they focus more on the psychological kind of aspects of a person's health. So we work a lot with them to support, education and programming, clinical training, right, to help students either individually or in more of that kind of group setting. So we all work together, depending on what you're looking for, it's a different entry point.
Mm.
And sometimes we can help with that. So we have this, you may start in CHAW and then we talk to you and we're like, you know what, we really think that you would be great getting connected to the counseling center. So we'll make that connection. Or counseling center will see you and say, you know what, I want to talk to you about CHAW. They do a lot of time management pieces. That'll be great for you to work on in addition to counseling. Or maybe you start in wellness coaching and you mention that you have a particular medical condition. We're like, well, hey, you really should get connected to the health center to make
Mm.
sure that you're, taking care of that aspect of your health and wellness. So we work together a lot, and students can see, all three of us depending on what it is that they're trying to do.
Exactly. Thank you so much. That's very, very helpful for me personally.
Hmm.
How do you map out this like step by step? Let's see. First of all, you should contact CHAW if you have some like stress and pressure.
Hmm.
And then probably we will be connected to other departments that might be more helpful if it's like medical treatments or something. However, I do identify that feel like the CHAW is more educational.
Hmm. Yep.
Appreciate like you stress that like address that over and over again, so that's a very important piece for me to understand this. Alrighty then, so we're kind of come to the end, but do you have any other final thoughts for our students, especially during this pandemic time?
Yeah, I think overall to know that, CHAW and every campus partner is a partner in your experience here at FSU. So, we want to make sure that we're meeting you where you're at, that you feel empowered, that you're making decisions that feel comfortable with you, that you have a safe space to kind of process, experiences that you're having. Or, a lot of our college students come in and find that they're really stressed or have anxiety or overwhelmed just because of daily life. And then now add on, right, a pandemic on top of that, which just exacerbates all of the existing stuff. So if you were already stressed before, that's still there, right? And now there's this added layer of stress, or a lot of folks are feeling a little more isolated these days because they're not in physical community with each other. So I would think that things that are really important to think about is one, making sure that you are still connected to your support systems. So whether that is your family, whether that is your family here in Tallahassee, whether that's the CGE, or campus partners or your friend group, like just making sure that you're staying connected. And
Mhm.
that is probably the most important thing, so that you don't feel alone in anything. And if you do need support, there are people there who care about you, who know about you, who want to make sure that you have what you need to really thrive. The other piece there, I think, is to re-examine expectations.
Mhm.
So we're in a new environment. We're all trying to figure out how to best kind of move forward together, right? Classes are trying to figure it out, services are trying to figure it out, programming is trying to figure it out. So just giving yourself some grace to realize, okay, I may need to re-examine some expectations that I have for myself,
Mhm.
or give myself permission to just rest, or to know that I'm doing the best that I can, and really giving yourself some perspective, because I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be the best, right? The best student, the best friend, the best partner. And that's just unrealistic. So I think just giving yourself a little bit of a break and a grace to do that. And then the other thing is just making sure that you're taking some steps to do self care. So checking in and saying, okay, how am I doing emotionally? How am I doing financially? How am I doing physically? How are my relationships? Am I taking time for myself? Am I making sure that I'm taking breaks away from social media, away from my computer? And doing that daily, I think, is really, really important. And we want to stress that because we don't want to get to a point where anybody is so far stressed, right? And so far in crisis. Usually there are little things ahead of the time that we could have noticed, or right, or done check-ins to make sure that we're constantly self-aware and taking care of ourselves. And then, right, reaching out to our networks, support systems if we need it. And then just giving ourselves some grace to know that we're doing the best that we can. And
Yeah.
that's sometimes all you can do.
Yeah, especially at this moment, it's so
Mhm.
important to acknowledge that. And also, I feel like personally feeling after you're talking through everything, even though it's kind of interview conversation, I already feel like it's very comforting and soothing for me inside, and energizing,
Oh,
because
good.
that there is service there that really can to help me to know, or educate me to know that self-awareness
Mhm.
give us some privacy, and give yourself a break at this special time. It's just so important, but sometimes we're just so busy that
Mhm.
we ignore it, and there's someone over there to help you to aware that that is very, very significant at this special moment. Thank you so much, Rose.
Yeah, thank you.
We're so happy to have you today, and thank you so much for letting us know so much about y'all.
Thank you.